This is Def AI, focusing on news developments in AI and legal space. Please subscribe to my channel. Bank defaults and sovereign debt challenges have put bonds in the spotlight and led to questions how they shall be valued. A recent article in the Financial Times brought an interesting development in terms of that there is a premium of Sukuk bonds versus Eurobonds in Pakistan. As the Pakistan debt crisis worsened and some credit holders assumed that a default is imminent, the market has the assumption that the Sukuk payouts will be higher than Eurobonds. We'll first outline what a Sukuk is and then address the particular case of Pakistan and why this may be the case. A Sukuk is an Islamic financial certificate similar to a bond in Western finance that complies with Islamic religious law, commonly known as Sharia. Since the traditional Western interest-paying bond structure is not permissible, the issuer of a Sukuk essentially sells an investor group a certificate and then uses the proceeds to purchase an asset that the investor group has direct partial ownership interest in. The issuer must also make a contractual promise to buy back the bond at a future date at par value. Therefore, a Sukuk is a Sharia-compliant bond-like instrument used in Islamic finance, and the Sukuk involves a direct asset ownership interest, while bonds are indirect interest-bearing debt obligations. Finally, both Sukuk and bonds provide investors with payment streams. However, income derived from a Sukuk cannot be speculative, which would make it no longer halal. This implies that the key difference between Sukuks and traditional bonds are that the Sukuk involves asset ownership, while bonds are debt obligation, and that if the asset backing a Sukuk appreciates, then the Sukuk can appreciate, whereas bond yield is strictly due to the interest rate. Finally, the assets that are back Sukuk are halal, whereas bonds are often riba and may finance non-Sharia compliant businesses or few speculation. And the Sukuk valuation is based on the value of the assets backing them, while the bond price is largely determined by its credit rating. These differences are crucial to evaluate the value of Sukuk and the potential differences that may arise from them. As mentioned before, Pakistan Sukuk and Eurobonds show a premium difference. The question that arises, why this premium exists? Most international security issued from 2014, including Pakistan's, have aggregated collective action clauses. These clauses allow the Eurobonds and the Sukuk to be restructured together on essentially the same economic terms. Instruments that expect the same deal should trade typically the same. Sukuk are, however, different from Eurobonds in many respects, but the aggregation provision seems to be the same. And if aggregated by the collective action clause, the Eurobond and Sukuk must get equivalent treatment generally when not taking into account the potential relation to assets. One may argue that Sukuk investors might be affinity investors, such as influential domestic parties. If so, maybe Pakistan would want to offer them a special deal. But that will be controversial given the current drama about equal treatment in sovereign restructurings. More likely is that the expectation of Sukuk holders is that the Sukuk are linked to assets owned by the government and would be preferred in the case of a default as compared to interest-bearing bonds. This preferential treatment is generally assumed given the structure of Sukuk, but time will tell. The case of Sukuk versus Eurobonds in Pakistan is an interesting outline of the preference of investors for Islamic compliant bond instruments, and given the asset-linked structure of Sukuk in general, the assumption is that Sukuk instruments will be preferred as compared to conventional bonds in the case of default. This is Def AI, focusing on news developments in AI and the legal space. Please subscribe to my channel and put any questions or feedback in the comment section. Goodbye.